from Union Chapel. My name is Paul Jones, and I'm the minister of the church here. I'll give you just a little bit of background to this evening's meeting. Some weeks ago, in Refugee Week, we invited Moses, who is the man with the mobile phone. We invited Moses to speak in our Sunday morning church service, and he gave a very powerful address and challenged us to do something and not to ignore the situation in Eritrea. And he especially talked about young people and their needs, and particularly in relationship to mental health. And we were, to use old-fashioned language, we were quite convicted by what he had to say, and felt that we couldn't just say, "Thank you very much, Moses, it was lovely for you to be here." And during that service, Claudina over there sang, and Moses felt that the music that she gave was also very powerful and very meaningful and spoke to him. And so we met with him, and fortuitously, as a church, we have just appointed a social justice and community outreach worker, Daisy Ann, who I'm sure you've all met or talked to or been harassed by in some way or other. And that came together, and we thought really maybe one of the first things that Daisy Ann could do would be at least try to reach out to the Eritrean community and to see what we can do. Some of what we have to do is learn. Some of what we have to do is to develop an understanding of a situation which too often just bypasses the news media, bypasses people's awareness and consciousness. And the other thing we have to do is to build relationships. So tonight is an experiment, and thank you very, very much for coming. We hope your time, and know your time is precious, but I hope that in the course of this evening we will be able to share information with each other and learn from each other and make the most of the opportunity and resources that we have here. We have invited young people from the Eritrean community, and we hope they come. And if they do, they do. But if not, I think we make the most of our own knowledge and resources, and have an opportunity, even if it's only a small number of us, to deepen our understanding and our awareness. There's a group work thing that people say that people who are here are the right people to be here. So we're the right people to be here. We're going to slightly shift our program around, and if young people arrive, it's probably quite fortuitous because young people know about the situation in Eritrea, but I think others who work in the sector, who work in supporting people from refugee backgrounds and other young people, also get a deeper awareness of the situation in Eritrea. I've worked in the refugee sector for a long time, but anybody who's worked in the refugee sector knows that there is so much more that you have to know, that there are so many situations that we need a much deeper understand. And when we just see images of people crossing on the Mediterranean, we need to know the story behind all of that. So I'm changing the programme around a little bit, and before Daisy Ann does a better introduction than me to what the evening's about, I'm going to ask Martin about if he would be willing to give his presentation because of time and so on. And he is the expert. He's a person, a journalist who has a very, very deep knowledge of the situation in Eritrea. I confess I have his book on my desk ready to read, but I'm told it's the definitive one. So your audience, Martin, is small, but it is people who will be directly engaging with young people from Eritrea and who do need to know what the situation is. So, thank you.
I thought perhaps very quickly I will introduce how I came to know Eritrea. Because I was born a South African, I was brought up in South Africa, I spent 27 years in South Africa living under apartheid, and it wasn't a pleasant experience. And the very worst thing about it, and this really was shocking to you, it shocks me now when I think about it, was that it felt normal, it felt natural. It's just the worst thing I can say about it. It was an appalling system, and the ending of apartheid is the great triumph of my life. If nothing else is ever achieved in my life, I would think it has been worthwhile, because it took the best part of 30 years to fight it, and eventually we did, and we overcame it. And the one thing I would say about it that perhaps is worth remembering in this context is that every single action that we took against apartheid failed. Everyone failed. But together they succeeded. And I don't know if you remember, I'm sorry I'm talking, this is off the subject, but it's just quite interesting. I don't know if you remember that there was a campaign to stop buying South African oranges. And there was a simple slogan, and it was a simple message, and they showed an orange, it was half an orange and half a human head which was being squeezed. And that was the image. And from that, which started, the campaign started in the 1950s, and after 30 years, nearly, it got to a point where the New York Teachers Fund said to the South African government, we cannot be involved with you, and we're going to stop lending you money. And when the South African government discovered that on the international money markets they couldn't borrow money anymore, they basically decided to move away and to begin negotiations and begin to actually end apartheid. And while there were many, many actions, whether they were trade union actions or actions on the street, and people died, many people died, each one of them failed, but together they succeeded. And I think that's something we should remember in this context. Now, although South Africa was bad, I would argue with you that Eritrea is worse. And that is an appalling thing to say. Because, South Africa was a functioning state, it was a repressive state, it was appalling, but, people could join unions, they could be members of political parties, some of them were banned, but some of them were not, there was space to talk. My friends were actually active in movements, and they organised on the ground, and yes, they did end up in jail sometimes, but mostly they didn't. Mostly they were able to actually function. And this weekend, I was with the Sudanese, and I don't know if you know, the Sudanese have now succeeded in overthrowing their own dictatorship. It's actually the third time they have overthrown their dictatorship, which is perhaps a bit worrying, but they were able to do so, and the way that they did this was by mobilizing through their professional associations, through their lawyers, through the doctors' groups, and they went onto the streets with enormous bravery, and hundreds of thousands of people went onto the streets, and they confronted the regime, they confronted the army, and the RSF, the Janjaweed, and they took them on. And one day, 100 of them died. They were shot down. It was appalling. But they took them on, and eventually the regime was forced, through a variety of factors, to talk to the opposition and do it. None of those things could have happened in Eritrea. And that is what is so difficult to explain about the regime. In this room, if we were in Eritrea, there would probably be 3 or 4 people who, even if we were working in complete clandestine conditions, who would be who would be reporting back to the state. In every village, in every household, there's somebody. It's a bit like East Germany was, who reports back, and the information filters back to the regime. There is not a single organization any longer that really has independence from the government. Whether it is the mosques or the churches, I mean, the Coptic Church, the head of the Coptic Church has been under house arrest for years now. They've tried to replace him. Eritreans do not accept that he's been replaced and stick by him, but there is sort of an official government-sponsored church which they organise through the schools which were being run both by the mosques and by the church, particularly the Catholic Church, had been taken over and closed down or taken under government control. Earlier this year, the clinics, exactly the same thing happened. The Catholic clinics on which 200,000 people relied for their primary medicine, suddenly one day they found that there were troops there. They were told, go home, you're finished. And when one of the priests very bravely refused to accept this and rang the bell, and all the people assembled because it was an emergency, they were basically told, forget it. And the next day they came back and they closed it down. So I'm afraid it is an extraordinarily repressive situation. There is a story that came out today, which I'm happy to leave here. It's of a Christian who was picked up, and he was kept for months on end in a shipping container. This is normal in Eritrea. This is what actually goes on. You're kept in, not in jail, in a shipping container. Imagine what it's like when it is as hot as it has been here this summer, and the sun beats down on the shipping container. One man was kept for 5 years, almost never seeing light. When he was released, he was blind. These are the circumstances these people are living under. And yet, although the churches are involved, I hear nothing from the church in this country.
I do agree with what you said wholeheartedly about excuse me, Michael Pell. I do agree wholeheartedly what you said about what the church is doing, you know. And I don't mean the church is like to get political and this and that, but we certainly, I'm a Christian, I firmly believe in the Lord, and we certainly have the greatest weapon, and that's the power of prayer, desperate prayer. But I agree with you that I've seen a lot of Eritreans, there's kind of like a passive acceptance that things eventually will happen. But, I mean, well, that's what we expect, you know, I do understand their ways. But there is something very powerful about being desperate in prayer. And there's all those things in the Bible about that. And I really would like to encourage people in that way. And I think, of course, everybody, like you said, everybody works for the same goal, because someone is very good at speaking with politics, and it's all part of that. And I'm firmly believe that God is moving. Personally, I've been in Eritrea 2 years, and I've seen, and I got really touched when I see. Actually, I was there the day that the government, after a few years, released the name of the people that died. You could hear the whole town, the mothers, things wailing, because they saw and they even lost 7 kids, and they were told nothing, just abruptly one day. So my heart really went.
I think what you're referring is to the list of those that died in the liberation struggle.
No, in the 2000 and the war.
Oh, the war. There was a war between Ethiopia and Eritrea between 1980 and 2000.
2 years, and nobody knew. The woman, the mother, they knew. They thought they were going back, you know. So anyway, that's all. I just want to say that.
It's very moving.
Teresa, is there any hope for Eritrea? I mean, resources, is it just a country without any hope, or is there any hope for it?
No, Eritrea is a country with hope. I do not accept that it is hopeless at all. I mean, the first thing is that they have an extraordinarily resilient and determined people. They have a history of education and of knowledge. The other extraordinarily important thing is that there has been tension in the past, going back to the 1970s, between the Muslim and the Christian faiths. But in recent years, that has been put aside, and people work together. And I must be honest, both in the regime and against the regime. On both sides, there has not been that kind of tension. So, some of the problems that there have been in other countries where the terrible religious repression does not exist. There is some discrimination against particular ethnic groups, but that, I'm afraid, happens everywhere, including this country. But there is genuinely cohesion amongst many of the Eritrean people. It has huge deposits of phosphates, I think it is, which are potentially going to be mined. They're right in the east of the country, along the border with Ethiopia. There's a massive project to mine those. They could last for 200 years. They really, really are substantial. They also have a wonderful coastline. Any of you who've been to the Red Sea coast and have done diving there, they have exactly the same in Eritrea. They have beautiful birds. They've just rediscovered elephants, which they thought were extinct. So they have lovely flora and fauna. It's a wonderful country. Honestly, if it had a decent government, even half-decent government, it would be doing very well. There was a hope, actually, at independence in 1993, that it would be the Singapore of Africa. And there was a genuine hope that it could be. But unfortunately, the president who led the liberation struggle for 30 years insisted on keeping the same control that he had during a liberation struggle. You can't. People say, I'm a democracy. I disagree with you occasionally. And, I'm afraid that is where the trouble all lay. So there's certainly is hope. I don't accept that there's anywhere that is hopeless, but certainly not Eritrea.
I would like to add one thing, Actually, I was amazed because I traveled with Eritrea and there was some freedom at the time. I went to Keren. Keren is about something like that. And it was amazing. You could see orchards and orchards and orchards of fruit trees that, not to say, but the Italians planted. And they were all gone. But the trees are there. Agriculturally, for what I heard, Eritrea used to be the vegetables garden of the Middle East, of Saudi Arabia. And so there is a possibility to generate and rebring even agricultural means. It's not a poor, now it's arid, but it's not that poor.
They also have a wonderful city in Asmara. I don't know if anybody has Googled Asmara. It is the most beautiful modernist city, because it was built in the 1930s by the Italians as the base for a huge empire in the Horn of Africa, and has absolutely exquisite modernist buildings. And because there has been so little development there, they still exist. They need preservation, but they're still there. It's a charming place. You can walk up and down the streets. They have wonderful coffee, which they inherited from both the Ethiopians and from the Italians. So, lovely place, honestly. Great place to go for a holiday. But very repressive.
I know you...
Yeah, I'm sorry.
One question I'd like to ask. Two things, really. One, when you were talking about churches and the absence of a lobbying, outspoken voice, when you're talking about apartheid reminds me of this. During apartheid, we ran a little group called Church Action on Namibia, which was a group of people who were just gingering and just pushing the church and the church institutions to speak out and so on and so on. And we developed a strong relationship with Namibian Swapo refugees here in the UK at the same time. It was a very powerful little group, and I think maybe something like that would be very helpful. But I think one of the issues, I think, for churches is to do with the work of aid agencies churches have aid agencies, and they work in countries, and they provide development education to the churches in here in terms of what they do. So Christian Aid don't work in Eritrea, but they do work in Ethiopia, so they have lots of material about Ethiopia and so on. So what is the position of aid agencies, NGOs in Eritrea? Are they able to function at all, or are they just not measured reality? Is it how people information gets out?
Well, during the liberation struggle, which went on from 1961 till 1991, it was the 30-year war in which the Eritreans fought for their freedom from Ethiopia, which was 10 times its size. They had very close links with a lot of church groups and with Christian Aid, with Save the Children, with Oxfam, War on Want. All of them were involved in Eritrea. But I'm afraid when the Eritreans came to power, they suddenly said, well, thank you, we don't need you anymore. And when, I know somebody who was the Oxfam representative in Asmara, and gradually the space was closed and closed and closed until they just had to leave. There is one organisation which has tried to work there, it's Finnish Church Aid, but in recent years even they have found themselves squeezed. And even the United Nations, most of the United Nations organisations cannot work there freely. Just to give you an example of how bad it is, there has been no census in Eritrea since, I think, the 1930s. Nobody knows how many Eritreans there are. The International Monetary Fund has only just re-established relations with Eritrea and certainly hasn't got any idea what's going on. No budget is published, 1 year to the next, so you don't know what the money is. A lot of the money is kept offshore in places like Abu Dhabi and Dubai and so forth. It's a strange country, but they're not in a large number of people. There are only about 4 or 5 million Eritreans in Eritrea, and probably maybe 1 million abroad. Some of them are in this room, and so we can make this change. It could happen, but please act. Thank you. One other thing, I will leave 3 copies of my book, and you're very welcome to have them.
Hello everyone, my name's Bo. I work here at Union Chapel, and this is a song called Believe in Love. This is a beautiful world. I will wanna say this is a paradise. Looks like we're gonna destroy it. I went to a school of love. Love is a flame to hold. Love it isn't soft and nice. No, love is a storm that rips through you. Tear down every lie that doesn't serve you. I believe in love, I believe in love, I believe in love. I believe in love, I believe in love, I believe in love. As the strongest force there is, stronger than the American army. That is enough now. All of the violence and war, that is enough now. All of the corruption and power, we are the ones to stand. And it's oh so very simple. The power is in our hands, 'cause it only takes one to choose. And one and all is stronger than millions who are. I believe in love, believe in love, believe in love. And I believe in love, I believe in love, I believe
taken by what I'm hearing, the help that is available out there. And it's by being involved with other people, sharing and giving. Those are the things that keep you young and having a faith. And it's not about having a facelift or Botox or anything. It's about what you give in your life and what you share and receive. So, forever young. May God's blessings keep you always. May your wishes all come true. May you always do for others, and may others do for you. May you grow up to be righteous. May you always speak the truth. May you always know what's true and see the light surrounding you. May you grow up to be courageous. May you stand upright and be strong. May you forever be young. Forever young. Forever young. May you stay. May you stay. Forever young. Forever young. Forever young. Oh, may you stay. May you stay. Forever young. Thank you.
How do you say it? Sabor. Great. I learned Talabafin as well. Great. My name is Ogwajala. I'm here to, spend some time and learn more about Eritrea. I was doing some research about Eritrea, just reading more about the background, and I actually started writing a song, but I've not finished it. It was getting a bit angry, so I had to pause and just go back to it later on. But yes, this is my song from my first EP. It's called We Fit. It's originally about God and how we fit into God's plan and into His love. But today we can say we fit as brothers and sisters in the humanity. You might sing along with me. I always love sing-alongs. If that's okay. Cool. See, as the fire waits to yield its crafts, that's how I wait for you. That's how I wait, but in the meantime, there's much work to do. Oh, pull out all the weeds. That's how I wait, so we fit. Yes, we'll grow, we won't quit. Oh, we fit. Yes, we'll grow, we won't quit. Yeah. I know you're not searching for a finished work. You say, come as I am. Whoa, whoa, I enter in with arms open wide. You let me in, no cause you paid the price for me. I enter in, so we fit. Yes, we'll grow, we won't quit. Oh, we fit. Yes, we'll grow, we won't quit. Yeah. Jesus says, come as you are, come right in. I've been waiting for you. Whoa, come as you are, come right in. I've been waiting for you. Hey, it doesn't matter who you are, yeah. I've been loving on you. So come as you are, come right in. I've been waiting for you. Oh, we fit. Yes, we'll grow. We won't quit. Sing with me. Oh, we fit. Yes, we'll grow. We won't quit. Sing with me. Oh, we fit. Yes, we'll grow. Yes, we'll grow. We won't quit. Good. Oh, we fit. Yeah, we fit. Yes, we'll grow. We won't quit. Yes, we'll grow. Yes, we'll grow. Yes, we'll grow. Yes, we'll grow. We won't quit.
Community worker here at Union Chapel. I've spoken to a lot of you, but I think this is the first time that we've seen each other face to face. I'm literally going to keep my welcome talk very short and sweet because Vaughan basically said everything I wanted to say. And to add a bit more context to this event, as you all know, it's called Found in Music. As Vaughan has already said, we did have Moses, the one with the camera, who came to speak during Refugee Week about what is going on in Eritrea. And when Claudina sung, he was so moved by her singing. Hence the reason why the event is called Found in Music. Because usually, there's the saying lost in music. And we decided to turn that on its head. So found in music being a form of therapy and a form of comfort. And I don't, as an individual, for you to connect with the music. So any sort of hurting that's going on with you, you feel a sense of peace. That's the first thing. Vaughan and Martin, when they spoke, there was one theme that kept on coming up over and over again, and that's the theme of togetherness and collective being together as a collective. And that's why we're all here today. We're speaking about action, and in particular to this particular group, which are the Eritreans. And being in the sector that we're in, I think most people think of, most people have their 9 to 5s, you get up and off you go. But in the sector that we're in, it's to do with actual people, people's lives, individuals. So I'm urging all of you here, like when you come up and give your speeches about the different organisations you work for and the work that you do, that, passion behind it. Because as I said, there are people behind, these are real people with real lives and with real issues. And we are part of the collective to get this thing going, to these people that are suffering and are going through hard things, to give the help and aid that we can offer to make, get things moving. So the one word I want here to resonate with everyone is the whole idea of action, like take action. And I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to introduce the first speaker, who we have from the Islington Centre for Refugee and Migrants, and that is Katie Commons.
By Nikki Forsyth, who's a psychotherapist. She set it up in 2008, and we teach people the skills of good listening, communicating, and feedback techniques. With the knowledge that good listening and communicating helps our well-being. To be listened to in an empathic way is really helpful, and also to be listening to someone, giving them that is also beneficial for your own well-being and for the other person. So there's been studies done where if half of you went to see a professional psychotherapist and half of you went to see lay people who had been trained in good listening and communication techniques, the results would be the same to your well-being at the end. So that's the premise of Talk for Health. It's for everyone and anyone, really. The reason I'm here tonight is because we obviously really care about the more vulnerable people in society, and so we want to get the word out to refugees and to any other sort of minority groups as well. But Talk for Health is beneficial, I think, to absolutely anyone. I've found it incredibly useful. It's also really good for people with mental health diagnosis or without. And I just wanted to give you a little idea about the sort of thing we teach, so that if any of you want to come along, then you know what sort of thing it is. So let me have a little look. So I'm just going to run through the feedback techniques that we teach very, very briefly. And if you want to come to Talk for Health, then we'll go into lots more detail. But the sort of things are open questions, so asking when somebody speaks to you, when you're feeding back, to say, what was it like for you when such and such happened in their speaking. Mirroring, so saying, I heard you say, then people know that you've really been listening if you mirror back to them. Noticing people's body language, reflecting back to them what you've seen in their body language. Communicating your own feelings about what's been said, but not as though you are fact or your feelings are fact, but just to communicate, I felt this when you spoke in that way or about that thing. Reflecting what you think the speaker was feeling when, at the time of them telling the story. So it sounds as if you felt like this when you said that. It's the kind of gist. And any perspectives that the listener might have. So I imagine is a good way to start a sentence when you're feeding back to somebody. And appreciations are critical. So we always appreciate the speaker for whatever reasons we feel appropriate. So that's a very, very brief overview of what Talk for Health teaches. As I said, it can be useful just in everyday life or for people with particular issues. We have structured groups that people attend where we teach these skills and then practice them within the group. And the idea is that people then go on to create their own ongoing groups. So a bit like Yasmin said, their create and communicate group, really similar. Talk for Health helps with isolation as well, because if people set up their own groups in their communities and can have a space for their well-being, for communicating in this way with people on a regular basis, and that builds bonds, and that's also good for well-being. So that is a very brief outline of Talk for Health. I've got loads of flyers and information at the back, including dates for our next ongoing groups. The entry to Talk for Health is a taster. We have tasters once a month. The next one is on the 4th of October at Islington Town Hall. So yeah, all of that information is at the back, and if you know anybody that might benefit, then send them along. It's free to anyone and priority to Islington and Camden residents. So there we are. Thank you.
Transported to another world. Yeah, thank you for having me. It's great to be here. So, Groundwork is a nationwide organisation, but we operate very much on a local level. So we have 3 actually bases just in London alone, and our ethos is very much about the community, about supporting all members of the community regardless of their immigration status. We do work primarily with refugees and asylum seekers from all manner of countries. But our kind of real focus is on, it's not about integrating in a vacuum, so we also very much try and involve UK nationals, EU migrants, people from all over at that kind of local level. So we work in Hackney and in Angel, and also in Barnet, that's a bit further away. And so we've really tried to think about, so within the Circle project, which is where I work within Groundwork, we've really tried to think about the integration journey for people when they arrive, and also for people who have lived in London their whole lives, but perhaps only operate in a very small, kind of small circle. Also, people like me who have lived here a year and a half and don't know my neighbours. So we tried to think through what it might be that are the barriers for people to feel integrated and settled in their local community. And we've broken that down to 3 kind of main pillars in which we work. One of them is employment, meaningful, decent employment. So one of the things that we offer is specialist expert employment advice, one-on-one, whatever that might look like for that person. Another really lovely area of the project is what we call the create and communicate kind of pillar. And that's weekly meetups in our community garden in Hackney, open to absolutely anybody. And every week we do some kind of creative session, whether that's gardening, whether that's cooking, whether that's crafts. And we also have a DIY workshop where we have weekly sessions under the same kind of strand. And that's all about kind of upcycling furniture, mending, fixing, painting, sanding, creating, which is great for people, lots of people that have worked previously as carpenters, construction kind of specialists come and teach us a lot of things as well, which is great. And then the third pillar is English language, as a colleague from Islington Centre was talking about. So we have different, I won't go into details now, but if you want more information, please come and talk to me. But we have lots of different kind of offers within English language, so kind of informal, ranging from kind of informal conversational practice, either in pairs or in groups, always with tea and lunch and hummus included, up to kind of more accredited ESOL courses. And then again, they're in Angel and Hackney. I'll leave it at that for now, but I'll leave lots of flyers at the back, and if you want any more information, then please come and talk to me. Yes, so as I said, it's open to everybody. ESOL actually is just for refugees, people with refugee status, but everything else is, everyone's welcome. Thank you.
We keep this quite short because this is very much about the services that we can offer to support younger Eritreans, or actually older Eritreans in our case. So the Assumption Centre for Refugees and Migrants is just around the corner. We've been established for around 20 years. We started out as an ESOL college, but as things got worse with the asylum seeking and refugee population, we've really tried to reorient our services to meet the needs of people that fall through the gaps, and sadly quite a few of those people are from an Eritrean background. For the most part, that's because they've had extremely poor legal representation. It's extremely hard for Eritreans to get to the UK, but for the most part when they get here, the vast majority of them tend to get refugee status. For us, most of our clients are destitute, so if an Eritrean comes to our centre, something has gone horribly wrong in terms of their legal representation, because they all have a valid claim for asylum. So just very quickly, and if you do know Eritreans who need support, or any other asylum seekers or refugees that need support, we're open 3 days a week, and we offer English language classes. We offer them to people who've fallen out of the system because they're destitute, or we offer them to people who've only just arrived, because for the first 6 months that you're in the UK, you can't actually access college because your asylum claim is meant to be resolved in that time. So we're quite a crucial resource for people who arrive, can't speak English and are completely at a loss. We also offer psychosocial services to get people to feel more integrated. We offer advice and advocacy, especially around housing for destitute asylum seekers, around helping people to get back into the asylum system, helping people to find financial support where they need it. And then, hopefully for our clients, once they've been with us for a while, we hope to eventually support them into finding employment and education. So we have partnerships with Birkbeck, with organisations that help with employability, to help refugees get back on their feet. So yeah, I mean, I'm not here particularly to speak about Eritrea because it's not all my area of expertise, but if you do have any asylum seeking or refugee friends who are a bit desperate, then send them to us Monday to Wednesday. Thank you.
Everyone struggles with it. It's just as it's spelled, Hanrahan. It's an Irish surname, but it causes a lot of trouble. So good evening everyone, it's lovely to be here. I am here on behalf of the Jesuit Refugee Service. We are a Catholic organisation with the mission to accompany, serve and advocate for the rights of refugees and forcibly displaced people around the world. We operate in 56 different countries, one of which is Ethiopia, and I know we've worked with 19,000 people there in the past year, many of whom I am sure were refugees from Eritrea. But here in the UK we have a specific mission to those who are either in immigration detention centres or who are made destitute by the asylum process. And really our main, or the crux of our work is accompaniment, that first part of our mission. Everything we do is viewed through the prism of being with our refugee friends, getting to know them, getting to know who they are, getting to know them as people, not just based on their immigration status. We do our practical work through detention outreach, so we go to the 2 immigration removal centres near Heathrow Airport, Harmsworth and Colnbrook. There's around about 1,000 men detained in those 2 centres, and a small centre for women. And there we have regular visitors. Usually each week people go and visit those who would wish to have a visitor. And we also go each week to the welfare sessions there, where people can drop in, come with any requests they have. It might be to contact their lawyer, which we can do, also to refer people to other specialist services as well. Our work in our day centre, which is based in Wapping in East London, is for those who are, as I say, destitute because of the asylum process and don't have any access to government support. That's usually because their asylum claims have been refused. And as you said, it's usually there's been some sort of mistake if people from Eritrea are there, but actually we find that Eritreans make up the 2nd largest nationality of those who come to us, come to our day centre. Probably is because of their legal advice, or not very good legal advice. So what we do at our day centre is we have a hot cooked meal for everyone who comes. We give out £10 each week to our refugee friends as travel grants, and we also are able to provide toiletry packs each month, just helping people who are destitute. Obviously keeping themselves clean is so important, something for people's human dignity, to be able to keep yourself clean. On top of that, we offer advice. We've just started a new legal project which hopefully will help plug some of those gaps, and that really is not about fighting people's cases. Hopefully we'll plug in with their legal aid solicitors if they have them, but really it's about developing their cases, so the sort of misinformation or sort of mistakes that have been made to stop people getting immigration status in the past won't be made again. On top of that, we have activities throughout the week. So we have a gospel choir, so people do find themselves in music at JRS. But we also have a drama group. We have creative art sessions, a community kitchen where people from different communities come together and teach the recipes from their home country. And really, it's all about building community for a group of people who are really feeling the brunt of the hostile environment policies and are made to feel isolated in society. On top of that, we also have a hosting project called At Home, where we offer 3-month placements for our refugee friends who are at extreme risk of street homelessness. So I do have information about our various work over there. Please do come and speak to me afterwards. But we're having an event on the 5th of October from 11 till 1 o'clock, and that's going to be at our day centre. And it's an opportunity for people to come and see what we do firsthand. So if any of you are interested in that, please do come and speak to me. We'd love to welcome you to our little community over in East London. But thank you very much, and I look forward to hearing from those of you that we haven't heard from already. Good evening.
It's just me actually, Robin. Sophie's at the back there, to ask any questions you might have at the end. So firstly, what an inspiring and informative evening so far. I want to just say that to all of the other speakers. I've come from the Church of England Children's Society, and I'm here to talk a little bit about the work that we do with refugee and migrant young people. Of course, the Children's Society has many other strands of work, but Sophie and I work on a project called By Your Side, which runs out of an office in Stratford. And I'll speak about that first of all, and then move on to the kind of policy and influencing work that the Children's Society does in this area. So By Your Side is a project that supports young refugee, migrant, asylum-seeking people aged 14 to 21, and we provide a number of things. Firstly, holistic casework support, so I'm a caseworker, and at any given time I have kind of between 12 and 18 young people on my caseload, and I will really support in whatever way I can in all areas of their lives. So with their immigration legal matter, liaising with social services to ensure that they're accessing the rights and their rights and entitlements, education, mental health, physical health, social support, really, anything, holistic casework support is what it sounds like. And then on the social side of things, we have a youth group that runs once every 2 weeks from our office in Old Street, which also runs kind of trips and visits. It's a socio-educative youth group, which means as well as doing great things like art and music and sewing, I think was a recent activity. Next week, I think there's a group of some djembe drums are going to be brought to the youth group, and it's going to be a drumming circle, which will be excellent. We also sort of use the time and space to cover maybe more challenging educative things. As well as that, we run a befriending project where we find volunteers, match them with young people who maybe don't have very many social contacts in London. I should have said already, we're a pan-London project, so our office is in Stratford, but earlier this week I hit every compass point of London in a day. I started the day in North London, travelled south, then west, and finished in our office in Stratford in East. So we're all over the city. And I was going to say about the befriending project, we match volunteers with young people who will go and do a social activity with them, again, once a fortnight, something like that. I'm sure I'm missing something. Therapy, thank you. Crucially, for what we're talking about this evening, we have an in-house therapist, and as I'll go on to discuss, a major barrier that the young people we work with encounter is accessing good mental health support. Waiting lists are like astronomical. So having a therapist who is dedicated just to our service is like a massive boon, and has been really helpful for our young people. Yeah, that covers it. And then a fantastic thing about working with for the Children's Society is that we have a policy and campaigns team. So much of the work that we do feeds into that. When we see things happen on the ground, we pass that on to the policy team, and they're then liaising with government, lobbying Parliament, meeting with kind of internal stakeholder groups. So the Children's Society is the chair, I believe, of the Refugee and Migrant Children's Consortium, which is a group of over 50 NGOs that work together to lobby Parliament for change. We're also a stakeholder in the, to look at my notes now, it's the National Asylum Stakeholder Forum, sorry. And the policy team also produce fantastic reports, one of which is very relevant to what we're talking about this evening. There are copies of it on that table over there. The report is called Distress Signals, and it's about the mental health support needs of unaccompanied refugee and migrant young people. And the report lays out the situation, which is incredibly bad, and then makes a number of recommendations for change at a sort of national government level, and in terms of services. One of the things I was reading earlier that leapt out at me was the difficulties sometimes in communicating mental health issues that young people who have come from completely different cultures have. So the language that we are used to using to discuss mental health is often not language they're familiar with or comfortable with. And so there are recommendations, very practical recommendations in there about how to talk to young people about mental health issues. Sorry, young people from different countries and cultures. On that front, there is another fantastic resource in my hand and on that table, Trauma and Young People, a guide for parents, carers and professionals. Now, I've spoken about mental health already, but of course with this group of young people, trauma and post-traumatic stress disorder, other sort of mental health issues arising from trauma, like major depressive disorder, anxiety, they are a prominent feature of our work. This book gives you some really practical tips on how to recognise those signs of trauma and how to work with young people. We try to run a trauma-informed service, which means that in all that we do, we work with the awareness that it's quite likely that either before flight, during flight, or post-flight, the young people that we've worked with have experienced trauma. And unfortunately, it's the case that much of what happens in the process of claiming asylum in the UK exacerbates and perpetuates that trauma. So they find it very difficult to overcome the trauma that they've experienced because their situation and their future is so uncertain. That's something we hope to support with. Another really great resource that I'm going to plug is our sleep toolkit. Sleep is a really big issue for a lot of young people we work with. For many reasons, because of the anxiety and trauma symptoms that I spoke about. It's also the case that very many people on their journeys develop a nocturnal sleeping pattern because it's safest to travel at night and sleep during the day. So sleep is a major ongoing issue, and cannot recommend this sleep toolkit highly enough, which gives, again, practical tips that might be shared with young people to help them to sleep better. I'm just going to mention a few other things. So I spoke about the distress signals report that we published at the end of November, the end of 2018 in November. That recommends that England and Wales adopt a policy that is already being used in Scotland, which is for unaccompanied young people to have independent guardians, independent legal guardians. I'll briefly explain what that is, and you're welcome to come and ask us a bit more about it. So at the moment, a young person claiming an unaccompanied child might have a foster carer, they might have a social worker, they won't have someone with specialist expertise about the common profile of asylum-seeking young people and in-depth knowledge of the asylum and immigration systems who's able to support them. What they have in Scotland and what the Children's Society hopes will be adopted in England is personally allocated independent from social services, people who will be, as a matter of course, brought into the young person's immigration legal matter and there continuously to support them throughout their journey through the asylum system and into adulthood. The Children's Society sees developing durable solutions.
Was the Mediterranean Sea was the most living life and death across the Mediterranean Sea, and we came to Italy. From Italy to come here is another big problem. Then we come England. Some of us we survive. We try to work hard to live, but some of Eritreans they are in a big problem, like in stress, in trauma, in housing, a lot of problem. And I heard that there is a lot of charities here. I will try to tell people where I met them. What's her name? She explained to me last time. I told them to come here, but apparently I don't know why they didn't turn up. I will explain to them about you guys doing a charity job, and thank you for giving me this chance. Hopefully next time I will come up with more of Eritreans on this road. Thank you.
Standing here, not knowing I will pass through this test, but holding on to faith, you know best. Nothing can catch you by surprise. You've got this figured out, and you're watching us now. And when it looks as if we can't win, you wrap us in your arms and step in. Oh, everything we need you supply. You've got this in control, and now we know that you made a way. When our backs were against the wall, when it looked as if it was over, you made a way. Now we're standing here only because you made a way. Now we're here, looking back at where we've come from. Because of you and nothing we've done to deserve the love and mercy you shown. But your grace was strong enough to pick us up, and you made a way. When our backs were against the wall, when it looked as if it was all over, you made a way. Now we're standing here only because you made a way. You move mountains, you cause walls to fall with your power. You perform miracles. There is nothing that's impossible, and we
And the one thing to always have is hope. So this song is actually about hope, and that we can overcome things by working together. One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure